Before I got into the recruiting industry, I believed this lie about interviewing for years. What is that lie, you ask? That lie is that the best candidate always gets the job. The reality is, it couldn't be further from the truth. In today's video, I'm going to lay out some examples in which a better candidate doesn't get chosen even though they probably should. Let's go. Now, the first situation in which a better candidate doesn't get the job over an inferior candidate is when the other candidate does a much better job of selling why they're a good fit for the role and why they'd be a more effective employee. The reality is, a B player that does an A player job of selling themselves has a higher chance of getting the job than an A player who does a B player job of selling what they would bring to your organization. The reality is, when you're in an interview, you need to sell why you are a great fit. You need to highlight the impacts you have made in previous roles. And you need to be able to articulate it in a clear way to the hiring manager, the impact you would be able to make once you're on their team. So one of the big instances in which the better candidate does not get the job over a candidate that is not as qualified as them is when you have a candidate who is less qualified but is much better at selling why they would be great for the role. One of the most frustrating but incredibly common situations in which a better candidate doesn't get the job is that other candidate who might not be as qualified happens to know someone in the organization and they are referred in. A referral candidate has a much better shot of getting a job over some random external applicant, even if the person who is referred in isn't as qualified. I've heard the saying before, it's not what you know, it's who you know, and I think to a degree that's probably a bit exaggerative. You have to have some of the qualifications, but you can absolutely be less qualified but get the job over a more qualified candidate if you are referred in. It's one of the reasons why networking is so important. By the way, if you're finding value in this video, do me a favor, hit that like button. It is free, it tells YouTube I don't suck, and it motivates me to make more videos like this. And if you're already willing to do that, well, go ahead and hit subscribe. That way you never miss one of my 3 free weekly videos, all designed to help you nail your interview and land your dream job. Another instance in which a better candidate won't get the job over a less qualified candidate is if that less qualified candidate just prepares better. They study better, they prepare better, they learn more about the organization, they're more prepared to talk to the must-haves and the nice-to-have of the role. You can be a great candidate, but if you go into the interview and you're not prepared at all, you haven't done your homework, you might not come off as well as a candidate who, again, isn't as qualified as you, but has worked much harder to prepare themselves to succeed in the interview, not in the job, but in the interview. And the reality is that interview matters a lot more than your ability to do the job in the interview. Maybe not long term, maybe not once you're at the job, but prior to that moment, when you're in the interview, the ability to interview supersedes the ability to do the job. If you're not prepared to articulate how effective you are, a person who is less effective but who is prepared to articulate it, well, they can get the job over you. By the way, if you want to be as prepared as possible for your next interview to ensure you get the job, below in the description box, there is a link to my course. It is a full course that is going to teach you everything you need to know to nail your next interview and get the job. Another big reason why less qualified candidates get the job over more qualified candidate is they do a better job of connecting with the interviewer. The reality is people want to work with people they like. And if you go in there and you just showcase, I'm good at this job, I am prepared to do this job, I'm qualified, but you spend no time and no effort connecting with the person or people who are interviewing you, a candidate who is less effective or less qualified than you, but who comes in and goes out of their way to connect with people, build a relationship, that is important. I know a lot of people think, well, isn't it enough, Ben, that I can do the job? To which I say, no, not in an interview it's not. Yeah, on the job it is. But in the interview, it matters. You need to connect with people. You want to smile with them, reciprocate their energy, mirror their voice. You want to ask them questions about themselves so they can get talking, so that they have a positive recollection of the interaction. If you do not try to connect with the interviewer, there is a huge chance that a less qualified candidate is going to get chosen over you just because they have a better connection. Another thing that happens is you might get beat out by an internal candidate, and that is really challenging, but there is actually a system that can help you beat out an internal candidate. It's why I made this video here. This video here, it's the only way you can beat an internal candidate. They work there, you don't, they have an advantage unless you watch this. So I'm done here, but I will see you over there.